Why does just adding this one extra color ruin so many things at once that you can tell what actually went wrong, leaving you so frustrated that starting the whole piece from scratch feels like the easier option? This is Ruoganzhua, a Chinese illustrator who has created official illustrations for the Ark Knights franchise and stunning fodder for other anime gacha games. His multi-character illustrations are overloaded with detail and countless color variations, but even with the rarest compositions, with all that complexity in areas artists would normally avoid, the whole image stays perfectly readable. So I wondered, what in his workflow actually keeps that much complexity under control? And is it possible to reduce his process to a sequence of painless decisions that any artist could actually use? That's what we are going to try to figure out. The obvious place to start would be one of Ruoganzhua's time-lapses I found on Bilibili. But there is a problem. How do I know which choices only work for the specific illustrations and which ones I can actually use as a rule? So I came up with an idea that might solve this. I'm going to take the same stages Ruoganzhua used and apply them directly to a completely different illustration. If I followed the usual workflow, I'd probably start with clean line art, but Ruoganzhua doesn't really spend much time on it. Instead, he prepares something called thumbnail lighting. It's a simplified grayscale version of the lighting that helps him quickly check how the main shape read in silhouette and what kind of mood the final piece will have. So I repeated the step for my study. But what exactly was I preparing for? Instead of mixing lighting decision with color choices, Ruoganzhua keeps them separate. But then I ran into another problem. Even if the character design already gives you the right colors, which version of those colors should you actually use? Apparently not this. So I checked several of his time-lapses side by side, and the colors were always close together. They stay grouped inside a surprisingly small range. Even the darkest local colors leave around 30–40% of room for the shadows. The lightest ones never get to pure white, and even the most saturated colors stay below 40% saturation. This group is usually placed in the lighter part of the range because Ruoganzhua builds the lighting by darkening the local colors, so that group still never spreads across the full range. Yeah, the boots and clothes here create a huge gap in value. But hold on, before entering he fixes it. We are good. And this fix was especially important for the next step, ambient lighting. What does it actually mean? Ruoganzhua refines the basic shapes with slightly darker folds and small ambient occlusion shadows, basically rendering the whole image without any directional lighting. That also means he doesn't add any color variations, only small brightness shift for additional color, while also drawing the details and patterns. And this made no sense to me. Adding patterns before lighting and rendering should only make the whole process harder. That's why I usually leave the details for the very end. But before I try, quick side note. After more than 10 years of drawing, I realized I keep coming back to the same tools over and over again. So I bundled the 10 brushes I use most into one free set for Clip Studio, Procreate and Photoshop. Hopefully they'll help you spend less time thinking about brushes and more time actually drawing. That's it. They are completely free, you can grab them through the link below. Okay, back to the study. For the next step, Ruoganzhua finally brings the directional light back, but not previous grayscale version. He rebuilds the same lighting setup from scratch using a multiply shadow layer. It makes sense, he changed the shape so much that you can't actually know what will be more effective. But I, for obvious reason, just reused the same shadow layer and used two different colors for it. Warmer shadows over the warmer local colors and cooler shadows in other areas. Why did I do this? Because Ruoganzhua did for more color variations. And this was probably the last point where I could still predict what he was doing. After that, he starts selecting random parts of the image with lasso, magic wand, doesn't matter, and uses a soft brush to create semi-transparent gradients inside. Everywhere. So I tried doing the same thing and... what am I doing wrong? So I had no choice but to go back to Ruoganzhua, trying to figure out how he chooses all these extra colors and why he plays them there. This didn't make things easier. His illustrations are full of soft gradients and small color transitions. There are so many of them that trying to understand every single choice feels almost impossible. But one pattern kept showing up. Look, because his local colors are usually light and less saturated, most of the color variations happen inside the shadows. That's why he draws more saturated colors. And because those colors also help expand the palette, they often move closer to complementary or simultaneous colors colors. But if Ruoganzhua wants to keep this bright color in the light as an accent color, he does the opposite. The shadows for these colors become much less saturated instead. So, feeling like I had found a golden rule, I tested that pattern in the study. And this time, the gradients start making much more sense, but only for a moment. This still didn't solve the main problem, because now the lighting, volume, details and additional hues were all changing at the same time. So how do you keep adding all these extra colors without ruining the whole piece? Well, you don't. And that's a completely normal part of the process. Even Ruoganzhua keeps tweaking the colors and re-rendering parts of the illustration. So the most important question is, how do you know when something's wrong and how do you fix it? I noticed he constantly switches between two modes, color mode and grayscale, which is probably the only way to see if everything is still readable. But wait, is he really picking colors in grayscale? Normally, if you actually convert an image to grayscale, you can't pick colors anymore, you only get gray. Maybe he just remembers the colors and pick new ones manually, but that doesn't seem very practical. So I found a much easier way. In Photoshop, go here and swap working semi-YK for custom, then choose dot gain 20%. That's it. Now Ctrl Y switch the image to true grayscale, but still lets you draw with color like Ruoganzhua. But how does he know whether the values are working? Looking at his illustrations in grayscale, I finally understood why even the reverse composition works. The less important areas stay inside a much smaller value range, but around the focal point the difference is much bigger, which means as long as there is a clear hierarchy of contrast across the whole scene, the image stays readable, and it doesn't really matter how many characters you draw or how detailed the background is. That small value range in the local colors at the very beginning is what makes all of this so easy, because it lets you control almost the entire scene with just the shadow values. So I tried working in grayscale, picking a nearby color with the right value. And know what? It doesn't really matter what order you add the colors in or which blending mode you use. By this point, the study had revealed a few patterns, but I was still following Ruoganzhua. So how do I know this process is what I'm actually looking for and not just another copy? I had to try it on my own illustrations of Remy Eldan. So far, I've built a compositional and expressive foundation by repeating the more predictable parts of Ruoganzhua's process. Thumbnail lighting first, then local colors with ambient lighting, and after that the directional lighting with gradients inside. That's already a good pre-rendered foundation, but it still feels like something's missing. You see, Ruoganzhua's illustrations always have this feeling that pulls everything together, like this yellow filter over the whole image. And then I found this. If you also didn't catch what Ruoganzhua just did, I got lucky and found a much clearer example. Normally you use a gradient map to color a grayscale image, but here it works more like a personalized filter. A gradient map gives a new color to every value in the image. Dark values get colors from the left side, light values get colors from the right. So I tried the same thing on my own illustrations, but what colors should you use for this filter? I'd say the exact colors mostly depends on the mood you want for the illustrations. Ruoganzhua often uses complementary color combinations like a saturated yellow in the light and a less saturated blue in the shadows, but just like him, don't be afraid to experiment. Then all you have to do is lower the opacity and try different blending modes until you find the right one. This lets you give the whole illustrations a more unique look without changing the values too much, while adding more color variation. So, what does that sequence of painless decision actually look like? In this process, a well-prepared base makes every decision in the repeating cycle of expanding, checking and unifying much easier, so you always know what decisions comes next. But the next question is, what if you still struggle with the very first step? That's exactly what I break down in the next video.